Tells me if I ever say that again, that I may not be invited back in the bedroom. So
I
got to be careful. We've been together almost 21 years.
Despite a 3-month doping ban and 0 matches played during that stretch, nobody expected Jannik Sinner to keep rewriting tennis history. Yet while he sat suspended, the ATP rankings continued moving forward week 57, week 58, then week 59. That was the moment John McEnroe lost his legendary 58-week streak as world number 1. A record that had stood untouched for more than 40 years. What made it even more unbelievable was that the record was broken by a player who was not even allowed to compete at the time. Fast forward to Rome in 2026, and Jannik Sinner was reaching heights no player in history had ever achieved. He collected 31 consecutive Masters 1,000 victories and captured 5 straight titles, something not even legends like Roger Federer, Rafael Nadal, or Novak Djokovic managed to accomplish. His season win percentage climbed to an astonishing 93.8%, the 5th best mark in the Open era. The only number still above him, and still considered almost untouchable, was McEnroe's incredible 96.5% win rate from 1984. That is where the story became even more dramatic for McEnroe. He did not lose his records arguing with an umpire or fighting with a line judge. Instead, he watched live on television as a calm, quiet 24-year-old Italian slowly dismantled everything he had built, one record at a time. During ESPN's coverage of the 2025 US Open, McEnroe openly admitted how stunned he was by Sinner's rise. Looking directly into the camera, he said, "Sinner is playing at a level that I did not anticipate would be that high at this point in his career. I am very amazed that he is this good." It was not forced praise or reluctant respect. It sounded like genuine disbelief from one of tennis's greatest champions. It was genuine shock from a man who has watched every generation of tennis since the 1970s and has never been afraid to say exactly what he thinks. That is why the statement carried so much weight coming from John McEnroe. This was not a commentator trying to fill airtime or create headlines. This was the man whose own records were being dismantled, sitting in the broadcast booth watching it happen in real time and openly admitting that he never expected this level from Jannik Sinner so quickly. For McEnroe, a figure known throughout tennis for his confidence and brutally honest opinions, that kind of admission is extremely rare. To understand why McEnroe losing it matters so much, you have to understand what he actually built during his prime. In 1984, McEnroe produced one of the greatest seasons in tennis history, finishing with 82 wins and only 3 losses. His win percentage reached an astonishing 96.5%. A number that has stood at the top of the Open era for more than 4 decades. Many all-time greats came close, but none could reach it. Roger Federer delivered a phenomenal 95.3% season in 2005. Novak Djokovic peaked at 93.3% in 2015. Even Sinner himself finished the 2024 season at 92.4%, which already looked historic at the time. Yet none of those numbers truly threatened McEnroe's record. Now, in 2026, that record suddenly feels vulnerable for the first time in decades. Sinner's season win rate has climbed to 93.8% after starting the year with 30 wins and only 2 losses through early May. That places him 5th all-time in Open-era single-season winning percentage, ahead of the best seasons produced by Djokovic, Rafael Nadal, and every other active player in modern tennis. What makes it even more dangerous for McEnroe's record is the timing. The French Open has not even started yet, and Wimbledon, historically one of Sinner's strongest stretches of the season, is still ahead. For the first time in more than 40 years, McEnroe's 96.5% no longer feels untouchable. It feels like a target, but the first major record McEnroe lost was not the win percentage. That story actually began the previous summer, when Sinner surpassed his legendary streak at world number 1 while serving a suspension, creating one of the strangest and most unbelievable moments tennis has ever seen. The first major record Jannik Sinner took from John McEnroe was not the win percentage record. It was the streak for consecutive weeks at world number 1. And the way Sinner broke it is what makes the story almost unbelievable. Sinner first became world number 1 on June 10, 2024. From there, everything accelerated. He won in Halle, captured Cincinnati, lifted the US Open trophy, and then closed the season by winning the ATP Finals. In January 2025, he successfully defended his Australian Open title, looking completely unstoppable at the top of men's tennis. Then everything suddenly changed. WADA handed Sinner a 3-month suspension related to 2 positive doping tests from March 2024. The ban lasted from February 9th to May 4th, 2025, forcing him to miss major events including Indian Wells, Miami, Monte Carlo, and Madrid. For 3 straight months, Sinner did not play a single competitive match. Normally, that kind of absence destroys a player's ranking position. But something extraordinary happened. The ATP rankings barely moved around him. Neither Carlos Alcaraz nor Alexander Zverev could close the gap. Nobody earned enough points to remove Sinner from the number 1 ranking while he was suspended. So the weeks continued counting upward, even while he sat at home. Week 46, Week 47, Week 52. By the time he reached 52 consecutive weeks at number 1, Sinner had already joined an exclusive group that included Roger Federer, Novak Djokovic, Leighton Hewitt, and Jimmy Connors as the only players in history to spend an entire year ranked number 1 during their first stint at the top. But he kept going. Week 57, Week 58. Then Week 59 arrived, and McEnroe's famous streak of 58 consecutive weeks at world number 1, a mark that had survived untouched since the 1980s, officially disappeared. Sinner's first run at number 1 eventually stretched to 65 straight weeks before Alcaraz finally displaced him. Following the 2025 US Open, the all-time list for consecutive weeks at world number 1 now reads like a timeline of tennis immortality. Andre Agassi reached 52 weeks. Nadal reached 56. McEnroe held 58. Hewitt climbed to 75. Pete Sampras reached 102. Djokovic pushed it to 122. Ivan Lendl stood at 157. Connors reached 160. And Federer still owns the all-time record with an incredible 237 consecutive weeks at number 1. Sinner's total of 65 weeks already places him 6th on that historic list, and he is still only 24 years old. That is the part making tennis historians uncomfortable, because the math suggests many of those records are no longer safe. What makes the story even stranger is what happened after the suspension ended. Most players returning from months away struggle to regain rhythm and confidence. Sinner did the exact opposite. He returned immediately looking sharper, calmer, and even more dominant than before. His comeback tournament was the Italian Open in Rome in May 2025, and from the moment he stepped back onto the court, it felt less like a recovery and more like the beginning of an entirely new level of dominance. After returning from suspension, Jannik Sinner immediately stepped back into the biggest matches in the sport. At the Italian Open, he reached the final but lost to Carlos Alcaraz. Then came another crushing defeat at the French Open, again against Alcaraz, in what became the longest final in tournament history. The match lasted 5 hours and 29 minutes, with Sinner letting 3 championship points slip away before losing in a heartbreaking super tiebreak. For most players, a defeat like that would leave deep mental scars. Sinner responded differently. He did not collapse under the pressure or disappear emotionally. Just 2 weeks later at Wimbledon, he turned the rivalry around and defeated Alcaraz in the final to capture his 4th Grand Slam title, becoming the first Italian man ever to win at the All England club. John McEnroe was there calling the matches for ESPN throughout Wimbledon, watching Sinner's rise unfold in real time. Not long afterward, during the 2025 US Open, McEnroe openly admitted how shocked he was by Sinner's level. "I am very amazed that he is this good," he said on air. He also praised Sinner's coach, Darren Cahill, calling him one of the greatest coaches in any sport, and saying he deserved a place in the Hall of Fame. Coming from McEnroe, a man known for being extremely selective with praise, those comments carried enormous weight. What makes the story even more interesting is that the relationship between McEnroe and Sinner never felt hostile. Earlier that same year at the 2025 Australian Open, before the suspension and before the Wimbledon triumph, McEnroe interviewed Sinner on court after a second-round victory. During the conversation, McEnroe jokingly brought up Sinner's calm personality, clearly comparing it to his own fiery reputation. Sinner smiled and replied, "We can say we are a bit different, me and you." The crowd inside Rod Laver Arena burst into laughter, while McEnroe himself looked genuinely surprised by the quick response. The interview ended with the two sharing a friendly hug, a symbolic image in many ways. The most emotional and explosive player of his era embracing the calmest and most emotionally controlled star of the modern game. That contrast sits at the heart of this entire story. McEnroe does not seem threatened by Sinner. He seems fascinated by him. He appears almost unable to understand how someone can dominate tennis with such complete emotional stillness. Sinner can win a Masters final 6-1, 6-2 in under an hour, and walk off court looking as if he just finished a practice session. McEnroe, during his legendary 1984 season, won with the same level of dominance, but he lived every point with visible fire and intensity, celebrating victories as though everything depended on them. Watching Sinner dismantle records with almost no visible emotion may be the part McEnroe finds most unbelievable of all. John McEnroe and Jannik Sinner could not be more different as competitors. One played with visible rage and emotion, the other with almost unsettling calmness. Yet now they are permanently connected by history, with one man steadily passing the records of the other. And in 2026, the story stopped feeling merely impressive and started looking genuinely historic. Sinner opened the season at the Australian Open as defending champion, but his run ended in the semi-finals against Novak Djokovic after leading by 2-1. It was Sinner's first loss to Djokovic since 2023 and his first failure to reach a Grand Slam final since Wimbledon 2024. The reaction was immediate. Questions about vulnerability returned. Discussions about whether Carlos Alcaraz was closing the gap suddenly dominated tennis media again. Some wondered whether Sinner's level of dominance could realistically continue. Then Sinner responded in the most devastating way possible. He won Indian Wells without dropping a set. He followed it by winning Miami without dropping a set as well, becoming the first player in tennis history to complete the Sunshine Double Indian Wells and Miami back-to-back without losing a single set across both tournaments. From there, he carried the momentum onto clay. At Monte Carlo, he defeated Alcaraz in straight sets to capture his first Masters 1000 title on clay. Then came Madrid, where he overwhelmed Alexander Zverev 6-1, 6-2 in just 57 minutes to claim a fifth consecutive Masters 1000 title. That achievement alone separated him from every legend who came before him. Not Federer, not Nadal, not Djokovic. None of them ever managed to win 5 straight Masters events. Djokovic and Nadal had previously shared the record with 4 consecutive Masters titles. Sinner pushed it to 5. By the time he arrived in Rome, his Masters 1000 winning streak had reached 31 consecutive matches, tying Djokovic's all-time record for consecutive wins at that level. One more victory would leave Sinner alone at the top once again. His numbers through early May 2026 looked almost unreal. A 93.8% season win rate, already the 5th best single-season percentage in Open-era history. A perfect 24-0 record at Masters 1000 events. A flawless 12-0 clay court record. He had not lost a single match on clay all season. On top of that, Sinner became the youngest and only 4th player ever to reach the final of all 9 Masters 1000 tournaments, joining a list containing only Djokovic, Nadal, and Federer, 3 men who combined for 65 Grand Slam titles. And there is still one final piece of history directly in front of him. The only Masters 1000 title missing from Sinner's collection is Rome. He has never won it before, and he is competing there right now. If he captures the title, he will become only the 2nd player in tennis history to complete the career Golden Masters by winning all 9 Masters 1000 events. The only man who has ever achieved that feat is Djokovic, that if Jannik Sinner completes this week's run, he will do it at just 24 years old. When you line everything up, what you are actually witnessing is not simply a great player on a dominant stretch, but a systematic dismantling of nearly every benchmark set by the previous generation. John McEnroe's consecutive weeks at world number 1 have already been erased. His place in the hard-court Grand Slam conversation has been matched and, in parts, surpassed. Even his legendary single-season win percentage, the 96.5% peak from 1984 that stood untouched for over 4 decades, is now the final remaining wall, and Sinner is actively moving toward it in real time. What makes McEnroe's reaction to all of this so significant is not just the quotes or sound bites, but what they represent. McEnroe built his entire career as one of the most emotionally explosive and combative players the sport has ever seen. He played every match like it was a personal confrontation. Sinner, by contrast, plays like a problem being solved, no visible emotion, no theatre, no volatility, only execution. Now the man defined by intensity is watching, week after week, as an emotionless force of precision erases pieces of his legacy from the record books. And instead of anger or defensiveness, what consistently comes from McEnroe is admiration and disbelief. That response alone says more about Sinner's level than any statistic ever. Could McEnroe's 96.5% season remains intact, a record that has survived 40 years of tennis evolution through Federer at his peak, Djokovic at his most dominant, and Nadal at his most relentless. Yet it has never faced a 24-year-old holding a 93.8% win rate before May, entering a clay season where he has not lost a match, with Roland Garros and Wimbledon still ahead. The final historic barrier is still standing, and the player chasing it does not appear to break under pressure. He does not overreact, he does not perform emotion, and he does not drift from the task. He simply keeps winning. If this story feels different from mainstream tennis coverage, that is the point. It is unfolding in real time, through numbers that keep shifting and records that keep falling. And at the current pace, the next chapter may not just be worth watching, it may redefine what dominance in tennis actually looks like.